Man, I tell you, butter biscuits must be a hell of a drug. Now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess featuring a bonus pin-up and the other two books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online booksellers everywhere today. In the Republican response to Joe Biden's State of the Union Address 2021, Black Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina decided to say that he doesn't think America is a racist country. And your Vice President, Kamala Harris, the first black female vice president, decided to agree with him. I don't know what planet these people are on. I don't know what stuff they're on, but I have to say that whatever butter biscuits these two are eating, it must be a hell of a drug because they're sitting here denying reality that is based on historical fact. Now, both your Kamala Harris and your Tim Scott want to say that America isn't a racist country, but we all know that America was founded on racism and white supremacy ever since the Mayflower decided to go overseas to America. And when those colonists came here to America, they were supported by the first family of white supremacy, the king and the queen of the royal family. So racism has been a part of America ever since we established the 13 colonies, and it was a part of America during the Revolutionary War and the creation of the Constitution. Because in that Constitution, it was clearly stated that a slave was considered to be 3/5 of a person. So that whole argument saying that America isn't a racist country is just absolutely absurd and makes absolutely no logical sense from your Tim Scott. And the only reason why he would say that is because he's on a butter biscuit high, and he's just practically so high off these butter biscuits that he's strung out on all that butter, and he just is just absolutely in a state of delusion. Because to sit here and say, I don't think America is a racist country, with this country's, again, history founded in racism and white supremacy, black people who were slaves not being allowed freedom after the Revolutionary War and considered 3/5 of a person, black people being forced into slave labor during the antebellum South, black people being enslaved until Lincoln emancipated them during the Civil War, and then as they fought for their freedom, he was planning to swerve them after the war by sending them to Liberia, and then after that you had black people who were put under the whole terrorism of the Ku Klux Klan and put under Jim Crow after the legal decisions of Plessy versus Ferguson and the Dred Scott case. You're going to sit there and say, I don't think America is a racist country. It just boggles my mind to hear somebody actually say this. But again, when you're strung out on butter biscuits, you don't really see reality. You see the rose-colored delusions that the white supremacists tell you is reality. And whatever Boss McConnell tells your Tim Scott is reality, or your boss Biden tells Kamala Harris is reality, they sit here and try to parrot it to us in an effort to try to gaslight us into believing that this is some sort of truth, when we can just sit here and look at history, one, and see that America is a racist country, and we can also take a look at the events that went on in this country ever since your Barack Obama became president of these United States. Because after your Barack Obama became the president of these United States, that's when all of these racists who were hiding under the surface, after your Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act were passed, decided to come out of the closet and show how racist they truly were. Because all those people who were calling your Barack Obama the N-word and calling and saying all sorts of derogatory things about Barack Obama, where did all those people come from? That's a critical question I want to ask both your Tim Scott and your Kamala Harris. Where did all of those people come from? And what happened after George Zimmerman murdered Trayvon Martin? What happened there? I mean, if America wasn't a racist country, then your George Zimmerman would be in prison right now for racially profiling your Trayvon Martin, and he wouldn't have gotten a pass along with all of those other people who, like these white suburban commandos or these rogue police officers who murdered men like Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Walter Scott, Eric Garner, and many others. All of those men would be in prison right now if America wasn't a racist country. But they're all walking free because they got a pass due to the racist judicial system, and they're all still walking free because many blacks out here, like your Tim Scott and your Kamala Harris, are in denial about reality and in denial about the world that we live in. And these people are going to sit here right after, again, the Obama presidency and the Trump presidency showed us how racist many of these Americans are, whether they be these whites or these non-blacks towards black people. They're going to say America isn't racist, but we had all of these people participating in racist behavior all the way up until the murder of George Floyd, which was clearly based on race, because I doubt he would have treated a white or a non-black like that. Your Derek Chauvin, and putting his knee on his neck for 9 minutes and watching this man die like that. I doubt that would have been done to any white or non-black, because that would have led to an international incident even worse than what we saw with George Floyd. And I doubt if America, again, isn't a racist country after you see that type of action. I don't know what type of whatever's in those butter biscuits, but it has to be some strong stuff for him, for your Tim Scott, to deny the racism in this country, and your Kamala Harris to sit there and agree with them. Because, again, you have to be on some type of stuff to think that there is no racism in this country and that this country isn't racist, when we have examples of this racism going on right in front of us every day and staring us right in the face. But you're going to sit there and tell me, oh, America isn't a racist country, all because they allowed a couple of bootlicks in the door, all because they told the white supremacists what they want to hear, and they will sit there and deny the racism because they want to continue getting their supply of butter biscuits from Mr. Charlie, and they'll sit there and deny that there's racism, but we all know that there's racism ingrained in this country, ingrained in the culture, ingrained as a way of life, and it has existed in this country before it was even founded, when it was a colony, because that racism and white supremacy was ordained by the King and Queen of England, and the King and Queen of England signed off on that racism so the colonists could treat the slaves as less than a person, and that was written in the Constitution after they created the first 10 amendments, where they talked about a black person was 3/5 of a person. And if there was no racist, if America wasn't a racist country, we wouldn't have needed an Emancipation Proclamation. We wouldn't have needed Jim Crow laws. We wouldn't have had black people terrorized by the Ku Klux Klan. So to make such an absolutely absurd statement that absolutely boggles my mind just shows me how sad and pathetic our so-called black politicians are, and how we can't really trust any of these black politicians because we didn't pick them and we did not go out here and create an agenda for them. And when I look at your Tim Scott and I listen to him again make this statement and Kamala Harris co-signing it, it shows me how both the left and the right are not about black empowerment. They are not concerned with black people. All they are concerned about is getting their high off butter biscuits from the white supremacist drug supplier. And they're going to sit there and deny facts that are in front of us. And when you do that, that is called gaslighting. Because a gaslighter, what they do is tell you something that isn't true is the truth. And to sit there and say, oh, America isn't a racist country, when we just had riots at over almost a year ago for the murder of George Floyd, and we have black men being murdered in the street by police officers and these race soldiers and these beta male suburban commandos, that is just a complete denial of reality. And that's the type of delusional individual who gets elected to office, and that's really troubling because that shows us that these type of black politicians are not interested in furthering black empowerment or advancement, and they will literally deny reality. And that's not a person you really want representing you, because if they'll deny reality, that clearly shows that there's some sort of mental issue here. Because if you're going to sit there and say something isn't true, when we've already seen, again, facts as related to it with George Floyd, and even your Meghan Markle, who was supposed to be the Duchess of Sussex, but ran into the same racism all across the pond in the UK. You're going to sit there and say, oh, America isn't a racist country, but the country that helped lay the foundation for America was racist, so America has to be racist. And sadly, most people don't want to acknowledge this. And what's even more mind-boggling is you have your Joe Biden in his own speech saying that white supremacist terrorists are the number one threat, but America isn't a racist country. It just shows how completely insane people are as related to these black politicians. A lot of them are this, like Malcolm X talked about, the we sick boss, and clearly this guy is just as sick as the bosses who went out here and have him that he's under, because he's sitting there in his own codependent mindset, believing that denying reality is going to get him some more crumbs. But denying reality just shows us how he's unfit for office, because if you're going to represent people, you can't come here talking about, oh, I don't think America is a racist country, when the reality is America is a racist country. America was founded in white supremacy. America's religion is white supremacy. Most people believe in white supremacy more than God, and most people buy into the idea of white supremacy more than life itself. That is the sad, horrible truth about America that your Tim Scott and your Kamala Harris want to deny, but that is the truth about America. And to sit there and say America isn't racist when we have racists practically going out here every day, like these Karens, like these store owners, and many others out here that we run into every day, is denying reality and not acknowledging a problem that has plagued America for over 400 years and will probably plague it until it collapses, because Americans just don't want to acknowledge how this racism has impeded America's growth. And because Americans don't want to acknowledge the problem, they'll never find a solution, because when you have two groups of races codependent on each other and using racism as a way to go out here and bludgeon each other, what happens is nobody wants to acknowledge the problem. But America is a racist country. It treats black people as a second-class caste, and it puts other minorities ahead of black people and uses them as buffers to deny giving black people their due that they're supposed to have as related to reparations for past and ongoing discrimination. And they've never really given black Americans a fair shake. I mean, if you look at the executive orders that were passed, black people went out here and voted for Joe Biden in large numbers, but not a single tangible offer to them in exchange for votes that practically gave Joe Biden entire states and entire cities, but other people who supported Donald Trump, like Asians and Hispanics, they're getting benefits, and even people who aren't even citizens are getting benefits, and they're getting all the benefits of the country, but black Americans can't get anything. But you want to say America isn't racist? Well, I have to say, whatever butter biscuits these politicians are on is some strong stuff, and I definitely don't want any of that stuff, because that stuff practically alters your mind to the point where you can't see reality. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my books featuring positive images of black Americans, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Taking Care of Business. The man who rules the world breaks in a brand new partner to help him take care of business in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Taking Care of Business at paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.